Here's the thing. The pyramids at Giza are nearly 4,500 years old. They are the only wonder of the ancient world still standing. And for decades, the story we told about them, in movies, textbooks, even serious documentaries, was that armies of enslaved people were worked to death building them. Cecil B. DeMille made it cinema. That image stuck, but archaeology quietly dismantled it. You were taught the slave builder story almost as settled fact. It fits a certain logic. Massive project, ancient Egypt, enormous power imbalance. Surely slaves. But here's what nobody tells you. That version traces back to a single ancient Greek tourist writing centuries after the pyramids were finished. Not an eyewitness, not an Egyptian source. Herodotus, visiting around 450 BCE, roughly 2,000 years after Khufu's pyramid was built, recorded what local guides told him. That's the foundation the monument of myth was built on. The central claim here is straightforward. The pyramids were built by a paid, organized, permanent workforce. Egyptian laborers, not enslaved people. And we know this not from speculation, but from archaeology. In 1990, workers near Giza accidentally uncovered a cemetery. Then a whole village. Then administrative papyri. Physical evidence, buried for millennia, that rewrites the story completely. My name is Edward, and I spend too much time pulling apart the monuments people build out of bad history. The myths that look like solid ground until you dig beneath them. Think about it this way. Myths are monuments too, constructed layer by layer, each retelling adding height, until the base stays anchored in a single shaky source, while the peak dissolves into legend. The slave pyramid myth is that structure. Our job is to excavate it. The workers' village at Giza tells a detailed story. Excavations, led by Egyptologist Mark Lehner, revealed bakeries, breweries, a medical facility and housing, infrastructure for a permanent, fed, cared-for workforce. The Wadi al-Jarf papyri, discovered in 2013, are the oldest papyri ever found in Egypt. They are administrative logs kept by an overseer named Merer, documenting the delivery of limestone for Khufu's pyramid. They record rations, schedules, rotating work gangs. This is a managed labor project with supply chains. Graffiti on pyramid stones name the work gangs. Friends of Khufu, drunkards of Menkaure. Enslaved people don't name themselves with pride on a pharaoh's monument. Skeletal remains from the workers' cemetery show healed fractures, evidence of medical care. Some workers had limbs amputated and survived. The state was investing in keeping these people alive and functional. Here's where it gets interesting. The honest version of this history requires naming what we don't know too. We can't say definitively that no enslaved people ever worked at Giza. Egypt absolutely practiced slavery. Foreign captives existed in Egyptian society, but the core workforce, the skilled stonemasons, the logistics crews, the gang leaders, the evidence points consistently toward free laborers rotating in from across Egypt, compensated in food, beer, and medical care. The myth is not just unproven. It's contradicted by the physical record we actually have. Here are the reversals the record forces. You'd think the bigger the project, the more likely it relied on coerced labor. But the evidence shows the opposite. Pyramid building required specialized skill that made workers valuable, not disposable. You'd think Herodotus was a reliable source on ancient Egypt. He was writing tourist impressions 2,000 years late. You'd think enslaved workers would leave no trace. But free workers left a village, a cemetery, and administrative papyri. And enslaved builders, historically, leave almost nothing because no one documented them. And here's the kicker. The slave narrative gained traction in the modern era, partly because it made ancient Egypt legible through a familiar lens, one shaped more by Hollywood than by hieroglyphs. The crazy part is what this myth actually costs us. When we imagine the pyramids built by enslaved masses, we flatten one of humanity's most sophisticated administrative achievements into a simple story of suffering and brute force. The real story, a state capable of feeding, housing, rotating, and medically treating tens of thousands of workers across decades, is far more extraordinary. The myth is a monument built over that complexity. And like all such monuments, it was built to make a particular worldview look permanent and self-evident. Let me describe what the corrected record actually reveals. Ancient Egypt mobilized something closer to a national labor program than a slave operation. Workers likely came from farming communities during flood season, when fields couldn't be worked. They were fed well, treated medically, and buried with care when they died on site. That picture doesn't erase complexity. Egypt was a hierarchical society with real coercion in it. But the pyramids themselves were built by people who signed their work with pride. History isn't always darker than the myth. Sometimes it's just different, and the difference matters. If this video shifted something for you, if the monument cracked a little, there are more of these waiting. Every week, we excavate a story that looked like solid ground. Subscribe, and next time we dig together.